Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. We have some updates for you. I'm going to add the link in case you have any questions. You're welcome to join our broadcast. So I'm adding the link to the description. Okay, in the meantime, all right, there we go. All right, I add the link there in the description in the first line. So we do have some news for you. You know, last year the USCIS fees were going to increase, and there have been several lawsuits to stop it, and it finally got blocked. This actually happened a couple weeks ago, but we'll share more details with you. So thank goodness, because the fees for naturalization were going to increase almost double. That would have been really ridiculous. But in the meantime, welcome to ask any questions. Hi, Ibrahim. Nice to see you. Okay, we've talked about this before, but in case you're new to our channel, a lot of people have been asking if asylum or asylum seekers, if they file the application, if they would qualify under Biden's plan. So far, it seems like you can. There's no like discrimination, no discrimination against like certain people who have applied or not applied for something, as long as currently if you've been here in the U.S. January 1st, 2021. Hi, David. Let's post your question. First of all, thank you for your service. We've accomplished a lot as a country because of people like yourself, so thank you very much. As a veteran seeking to get K-1 for fiance, will it get easier? Unfortunately, in this situation, there is no fast track for veterans and for fiance visa. There is for naturalization, but not, or work through the Department of Defense as well, but not for K-1, unfortunately. Have you started the K-1 process? David, are you one of those that have been waiting the past year? I know there's many of y'all that have been waiting who filed the application in 2020 and got stuck with the interview situation because of Trump. I want to update y'all also on some immigration bills, not just about the reform. Let me pull that up. But there are some updates that we get Okay, I'll go to that in a second. David, you have another question. Is it easier to process a CR1 or K1? I answered part of this question in a video about 2 or 3 weeks, actually last month, December. But to answer it as succinct as possible on this show, it really, first of all, it depends if you're already married or plan to get married beforehand or not, because your K1, of course, you can only be engaged. You can't have been married, right? Or for K3, you can. K3 is a similar process to K1, except K3 is you are married. The main difference is that for K1, presumably the applicant, the immigrant beneficiary, can arrive into the U.S. much earlier than someone who's processing through CR1. So that is one benefit. The negative, per se negative, is that once you arrive, your fiance arrives into the U.S., you have to get married fairly quickly, within 90 days, and you have to buy all those documents within 90 days, preferably. But the 90-day rule is that you have to get married 90 days before or right after entry, within 90 days, right? And then you have to apply for adjustment of status on the 485 form, and that right now that's about roughly $1,200, $1,225. memorize all these random numbers. But whereas CR1, the benefit in that is that once you complete your interview process at the consulate, you'll receive the resident card, right? Not necessarily at the interview, but in your mailbox, David, at your house. So then after you get the green card as CR1, you don't have to go through any other process, okay? Assuming you have the 10-year card. Now, I see you said, well, the other benefit in the CR1 is that you don't have to pay an extra $1,225. So it's much cheaper through CR1, but again, you have to be married, excuse me, you have to be married before you file that application. Okay, you haven't, I see your other note, your other comment here, you haven't started the process. You're scheduled to meet last year, but yeah, definitely, yeah, pandemic has affected a lot of people. Yeah, affected a lot of people. So yeah, we're all trying to find solutions. A lot of immigration lawyers, we're all trying to work together somehow to crowdsource information to help a lot of y'all. So thanks, David, for the question. Hey, Dan, nice to see you. Apologize, I didn't get a chance to speak with you the other day. Want to show your question or your comment with everyone. Consulates are not scheduling K1 interviews. Seems the only way to get moving is through suing. For the most part, yes. It really depends. You know, I know my assistant may have talked to you last week, Dan, and we like to crowdsource information because we want to make it cost effective for our clients, for people like y'all. You know, because for us, to be honest, if it's one individual person or maybe even two people that we're filing on behalf of, it would be more expensive, right? So we want to put you in a better position to, hire that firm. But I know you said you had, I see a comment from earlier that you had talked to that big firm. I think they're in Washington, or either Washington D.C. or state of Washington. I can't remember exactly, but yes, in general, the rule of thumb is if they delayed anything, it is to sue them, sue the respective agency, especially for folks who already had an interview. I know, Dan, in your situation, you haven't had the interview, but for people who, but I guess, hey, this is good. This is a good opportunity. You know, if there are a lot of people, you know, that like in Dan's situation where you're engaged, and I guess like Rimmon here, you're also waiting. Let me know. Okay, fill out our intake form. We have a website we have a link to our lead form, our website, in the description below. You know, if we get a lot of people, and not just a few, but a lot of people will file all together in one lawsuit. It just makes it stronger. That's why it doesn't have to necessarily be a class action lawsuit, but the more people, and I know there are a lot of people because I get a lot of comments, questions about K1. So I presume that a lot of y'all have already filed at least your 129F form for the K1 petition, and now just waiting for the interview. And people ask me, what's going on with Biden? When should we assume that Biden will just turn it around and reverse the ban? I mean, I would love for him to do that, right? I'm sure you're waiting for him to do that as well, but it's already been, he got into office on the 20th. That was his first half day into office, right? He took the oath that day. And I gave myself, in my mind, I was thinking he would only take about sometime next month in February to change something about this, about the K1, and also just opening consulates in general. I may have mentioned this in a previous video, but I anticipate that the consulates will reopen. We just don't know when. I know that the USCIS field offices, for example, in Dallas, Houston, all the local offices, they resumed the interviews back in August 2020. And that had stopped between March to August. And so they had resumed that. And all they did was add, of course, require PPE, wear the mask, socially distance, but also add that plastic panel. So presumably they can do the same thing at the consulates. There's really no reason. That's why I thought what President Trump did to block it starting in April 2020 is really just a cop-out reason, blaming it to say that immigrants will take jobs during the coronavirus period, which inherently, yes, people can apply for jobs, but that's always happened. Okay, thanks, Dan. I know that wasn't necessarily a question, but you definitely raised a serious point here. So anyway, if you are considering, or if you have a process, if you're still waiting for the interview, give us a call, schedule an appointment, or just fill out our lead form, and then we can start contacting everyone once we get a huge number of people. All right. Okay, Remen, you had a similar question. Any news about K1? By the way, I shared the. I don't want to assume that you know how to do this, but please always check your U.S. embassy or U.S. consulate online. Okay, the best way to go is to the travel.state.gov website. Okay, and then go click on that and there's also another website link in there. We'll drop it in the show notes after the live show. But you can check the wait times for different types of visas, and if it shows 999 calendar days, that means that they're only conducting emergency appointments. I know, by the way, in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, they are having interviews. Okay, they are having interviews for immigrant visas. But last time I checked online, it still said emergency appointments. So let me check right now again for y'all. And so if you're applying for an immigrant visa, the scheduling date comes from the National Visa Center. Okay. All right, let me type in Ciudad Juarez. Let's see if it still says that. Yeah, it still says emergency appointment. Okay, so let me see if I can share that screen with you. Okay, there we go. Ciudad Juarez. Even though I know a lot of other attorneys are having appointments there, like ourselves as well, it still says emergency appointment, and I know they didn't file for an emergency request. So okay, we'll take that down. Stop my screen share. Okay. All right, next. All right, Flocka. Thanks for sharing our information. Appreciate it. There definitely are a lot of people affected by the K1. Okay, I saw someone wanted to join the broadcast. You're welcome to join. I don't see your name up here anymore, but if you have a question and would like to join the broadcast, please keep in mind there is no attorney-client confidentiality or privilege. So we're really here to share any kind of procedural answers, solutions to your situation. If you have a case at a certain consulate and would like me to check for you, I'm happy to do that. But if you don't have that chance, when you're watching this later, we'll have the website link down below in the description. Okay, so in the meantime, there have been a majority of the bills that were introduced the past couple of weeks for immigration are actually anti-immigration. That's to be expected because whether you're red or blue, unfortunately, the Republicans tend to be anti-immigrants. And let me show you a couple. I just love to share what I'm looking at, so I want you to know I'm not just making stuff up here. Okay, let me see if I can increase the size. Okay, let's start with one positive thing introduced by a Democrat. Hi, Noel, I see you. Just stay right there and I'll get right to you. This one says requiring agents and officers of ICE and Customs Border Protection to wear body cameras. Makes sense. A funny thing, introduced by a Democrat. Okay, so next one. So that's a good thing. We need to keep any officer, law enforcement accountable. I have friends and clients who are police officers, and they're good people. It's just, I hate to say this, but there are some bad cops. So we just need to keep them accountable and bad immigration agents. So this other negative anti-immigration bills here. Okay, one says Senate Bill number 80, introduced by Republican out of Iowa. This one is a bill to require ICE to take into custody certain aliens. I don't like to use the word aliens, undocumented immigrants, and who have been charged in the U.S. with a crime resulting in a death or serious bodily injury of another person. Look, in that scenario, of course, people need to suffer the criminal consequences. Absolutely. But I don't believe if I were an elected official, you shouldn't have to create new laws that already solve this situation. If you know of an immigrant who has gone through a criminal case before, whether they're a resident or not, undocumented, for example, then you know that they probably had to go through a situation where they were transferred after the completion of the criminal case. They've had to be transferred to ICE custody. And it's because there's something called detainer. Detainer essentially is from the state, the county, and notifies ICE that this person, this detainee, is an immigrant, whether they have a resident status or not. So that already happens. There's no need to have this unnecessary bill. Okay, I know there was another one. Okay, well, there's a lot. Okay, but okay, let me show you one more, and then we'll get to the questions. The Senate Bill number 17, introduced by Republican Marsha Blackburn out of Tennessee, a bill to amend the current law to provide that there's an inadmissibility, basically a reason to block someone from obtaining status for those seeking citizenship for children by giving birth in the U.S. That is extreme. You know that if you give birth in the U.S., that child is automatically a citizen. Okay, Noel, I see you. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome to make a comment here. So I'm going to stop my screen share because there's like over 20 anti-immigration bills. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we got, I think Noel wanted to make a point for us. But in the meantime, we got a question from Alyssa. Hi, my biometrics for EAD was scheduled last September, then interview last January, so 2020, and just received another biometrics for AOS. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. So last September, so my math is not the best right now, but well, it seems like you kind of had it backwards there, right? So you had the biometrics. You had two biometrics, that's fine. I mean, sometimes sounds like you already did the biometrics the first time, but if they're asking for another one, usually they're valid for 18 months. But if you have another biometrics request to take your fingerprints, the purpose of that, they're just trying to see if you have any criminal history, arrest, crimes, convictions, any of that sort. So it is okay. There's nothing negative, especially if you have a clean record. That doesn't mean a good or bad thing. In fact, I would like to think that's a good, positive thing if they require another biometrics. And hopefully it doesn't take too long for you. Most of my clients say it takes average 10 minutes or less, even including the wait time. But you did mention something else in your question, that you had an interview last July. So I'm assuming, is this a marriage case? So that means if you're getting another biometrics after the interview, that could mean that they just want to run another background check. I've had that happen in a couple cases where they gave us excuses, when they actually responded to our email inquiries, which, President Trump got rid of that in the last 4 years. So hopefully, by the way, hopefully that returns so we can give our clients a better update on what's going on with their case. So the interview in 2020, and probably no update since then because, yes, marriage, okay. And probably no update since then because, honestly, maybe they just, even though they resumed interviews again in August 2020, your case file probably could have been just stuck in a different location. I mean, not different office, but it's probably just stuck back at the bottom, unfortunately. So I recommend, Alyssa, if you already had that situation, you may have done this already, but call the USCIS hotline. I know no one likes the hotline, especially lawyers, because it feels like we don't get any traction from the hotline. But call them or submit an inquiry online based on delayed case processing. Okay, that you can find that on uscis.gov in the tools and resources. So so it usually only takes a couple minutes if you can fill that out. Okay, hopefully that helps. But otherwise, this is a situation like Dan mentioned earlier. If it's another 6 months and you still haven't received anything after submitting the inquiry, then we can sue them. But actually, before we sue them, we can file a request to the Ombudsman office. Okay, I will provide a link to that separate office for you, because when you file a lawsuit, the judge will ask, did you try to exhaust all your administrative remedies? So this is an example. They have the inquiry process. We know it's a pretty crappy system, but at least we can save the inquiry, when they email you some kind of confirmation. So we can legitimately tell the judge, hey, yes, we did try. We tried 2 or 3 different ways and still no result. Okay, so hopefully that helps. We'll provide a link to that later. Okay, we're here to try to solve your immigration problems. To follow up. Oh, okay, Alyssa, you said, is that a reason why they haven't proved you? No, that's not the reason. I highly doubt that. But if you do have some kind of criminal history, please do not share this on the YouTube forum. Just contact us separately. Want to make sure you're eligible if you do have some kind of crime. Okay, we got Maria Hanway. Thanks for your question. Hello, I'm a U.S. citizen. I petitioned for my 21 older daughter for a resident status. Okay, and priority date is August 16th, 2016. May I change the status? How will this affect the priority date? Will be faster. Oh, when you are a resident. Okay, let's check out the visa bulletin here. Okay, yeah, it can sometimes. Sorry, I had to close my door for a second. Sometimes updating this. Okay, we got the February 2021, just came out a couple days ago. Okay, well, sometimes upgrading the category can make it delayed, but preferably upgrade it in a time. Okay, save you some time here. All right, Maria. So let me share my screen. And which country was she born in? That would help too. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so you and your daughter. You didn't say if she was married or not. Hopefully she's not married, because that will save some time. Okay, well, you're under F2B. So F2B, let's see if you wrote which country. All right, Maria, tell us which country she was born at. She's single. Okay, Venezuela. Okay. F2B. So she would fall under this first column here. And they're working on a case from July 15th, 2015. The number on the right is the year. Okay, so you got. Okay, but now you're a U.S. citizen, so let's see how that changes. Okay, so that was F1, the top category here, okay? so it went back a little bit, so that's what I mean, that it now shows September 2014. Scroll down to this chart, August 2015. So there's two charts. Sometimes it depends on the month. It could change whether it means like, okay, on this second chart, letter B here, dates for filing family sponsored visa applications. So basically, this means that you can start filing, like, for example, the documentation to National Visa Center. It shows it right here. Okay. And right now, still has not met that date. It's on August 8th, 2015. So you can probably, it looks like a year away. So I would just check every month. I mean, you're only a year away. Sometimes it gets upgraded fairly quickly. For example, F2A, the past year has been showing current. That meaning you could do it like right now for the second step or the next step. And but sometimes it will just upgrade in the time, advance in the time fairly quickly. So that's why it's important to check every month. Okay, we'll provide a link to that as well. Thank you for the question, Maria. Hopefully that was helpful. So with that being said, like I said earlier, that's why it's important. Even if you're a resident and you were planning to become or about to become a citizen, it's like playing chess, right? I mean, I'm not good at chess, but sometimes the current category could be better than the future category. Okay. But glad you are a citizen, Maria. I hope you were able to vote, or hopefully you're a citizen before last election. Okay, let me see. Let me go back if someone else had a question. Ibrahima, thank you. Yeah, thank you for everything. Yeah, sure. I mean, we want to provide the accurate information. There's going to be a lot of people out there, whether on YouTube or not, just out in the storefront, especially just trying to give advice, especially lawyers who have not practiced immigration law. They're all of a sudden just going to put up a website and say they practice immigration law. So just whoever you hire, if you do, especially whether it's the current process or through President Biden's plan, make sure that person has had long time experience with immigration. Okay. We want to make, it will probably cost a lot. I imagine if President Biden is able to get this passed through the Congress, even though Democrats have slight control with a tiebreaker with Kamala Harris, I really do think this should be done in a bipartisan manner. Of course, worst case scenario, they should do whatever legal means to get this passed anyway. We waited at least 8 years, actually 12 years, but actually 36 years since 1986, the last major immigration reform. So there's a lot of people that need help. I think they say estimated 11 million people. So there's a lot of good immigration lawyers, but make sure you actually at least hire an immigration lawyer. Number two, please be careful of the notaries, notarios. I mean, hey, you could be a notary watching this, but if you are, just talk with the immigration lawyer. We want to make sure. I've heard too many horror stories, and I've heard of people paying just as much as a licensed lawyer, so that they pay to a notary. So I just don't get it. Please be careful. Okay, we got a question from Ibrahima. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. You're saying, hi, if you file for VAWA, what benefit you can have for a Biden program? Well, but the Biden plan doesn't necessarily say anything different for, let's say, people are filing for asylum or VAWA. I know at least for refugee program, he wants to increase that cap from, I think Trump reduced it to like 15,000 to Biden want to go back to the normal cap, 125,000. But anyway, my point in sharing that is that he's just trying to be more open, the legal way, of course, going back to what it was before, but with his plan. VAWA. So I think your question, if you have filed for VAWA already, if for y'all that might not know, but if you know someone that has been a victim of a crime, whether it's like in a relationship, significant other, a partner, a spouse, or even just a crime from a random person, there is something called U visa as well for people that are not that don't qualify for VAWA. So anyway, VAWA is Violence Against Women Act. All right, and so even if you file for this, doesn't mean that you cannot apply for what Biden wants to do. I just in general, people can apply for more than one type of family-based or humanitarian type of visa application, especially for U visa. There's a backlog of at least 5 years, okay? Because there's a congressional cap maximum limit of 10,000 visas per year just for U visa for a victim of crime. And 10,000 may seem like a lot to you, but I talked to a lot of immigration lawyers across the country, and there's so many people who have been abused. And it's very unfortunate to hear about. So actually, on this side, here's my quote here. If you have a feeling that something's wrong, don't be afraid to speak up. If you see something, say something. If it's for a neighbor, family member, please don't assume that everything's okay. If you think something's wrong, please ask, reach out, especially after this, even if it's directly with the person you think is affected. The 2020, the pandemic is really messed with everyone, a lot of people. I know a lot of people are, even if introvert, you just want to get out and about, want to travel. So I know people are affected, okay? We all just need to be a little bit more compassionate these days. I know Biden is helping calm everything down by not drawing attention to himself. Speaking of that, yeah, Maria, thanks for voting. Appreciate it. So Ibrahima, I hope I answered your question a bit. It's still early, okay? Whatever President Biden has proposed so far, it's a very skeleton framework, okay? It's very light on the details. So, hey, if you subscribe to our channel, you probably know by now, we don't want to just hype things up, okay? We don't want to do that. We want to give you the real news, okay? Not everything is breaking news. When something is making progress in Congress, we will actually provide you that update. If they're not making progress, we won't make a video just to tell you that, okay? But if you're anxious and want to know what's going on still, of course, schedule a time with us, okay? We got a number down below, scrolling below. So give us a call, schedule an appointment with us. But again, we are available to answer any questions, okay? We just hit the 30-minute mark. I love to stay on, but hey, it's time to get back to work. And so we'll be live every Tuesday and Friday. Tuesday, we try to aim for 11:30, and then, but probably next week might start at 12. But on Fridays, we'll be at 1:30 p.m. Central Time. Okay, so stay tuned for our updates, okay? If you're new to our channel, please subscribe down below. And we got a Facebook group that you can join so we can share all the challenges, so we can crowdsource, okay? We want to make it easier for you, provide a smooth process. All right. Until next time, please continue wearing a mask. Bye-bye now. Take care.